Hi, everyone. This is a very important message to all members of the Ithaca Central School District community. For the past few weeks, the Ithaca Teachers Union, the ITA, and the school district have been negotiating over future budgets and teacher salaries. The ITA has placed heavy focus on how Ithaca's high cost of living, inflation, and the current salary system, as well as past contracts, have contributed to the major teacher retention crisis now being faced by the district. For clarity, I wanted to provide you all with some numbers. Last year, the Ithaca Central School District had a teacher turnover rate of 18%. That 18% is 6% above the national average of 12%, and it's 4% above the state average of 14%. Let's add to that the Ithaca School District's veteran teacher retention rates have dropped from 83% in 2015 to 57% in 2025. This is data that School Superintendent Dr. Lou Brown does not seem to feel is sufficient to call this a crisis.
I don't think we have a retention crisis. I think our retention and our attrition is somewhat comparable from year to year and has been somewhat stable.
The ITA has been able to clearly show how and why this is happening and has presented a clear plan to fix these issues and provide their educators with competitive, attractive, predictable, and incentivizing salaries. However, with little reception from the ICSD, educators have now had to show up to negotiations and Board of Education meetings and be vulnerable, sharing their personal experiences that show exactly why past contracts and current contracts have failed to fix these issues and why the ITA's current proposals are the solution.
I'm a special education teacher at Caroline Elementary. So I moved here when I was hired in 2017. Within months of settling into my little apartment downtown, it became pretty evident that the cost of living in Ithaca was not manageable with my salary. But I was optimistic that I just needed a couple of years to get on my feet. As the years went on, my optimism dwindled as the salary increases simply did not compete with the steep increasing rental prices around Ithaca. Living paycheck to paycheck stayed the reality. Fast forward to 2022. My now husband and I began the process of looking for our first home. I had my heart set on putting down roots in this community where I could raise a family and have kids who attend our schools. But after almost a year of obsessively looking at Zillow listings, I stubbornly accepted the truth that we could not afford to own a home in the district where I teach. My story is not unique for teachers working in this district. Teachers commute from all over the place, and it's not because they would all prefer to live in Newfield, Lansing, Dryden, Newark Valley, or Trumansburg. Teachers in ICSD put in a lot of hard work servicing this community. It's really a shame that we're priced out of living here.
I'm the librarian at Northeast. I've been there for about 10 years. When we talk about salary, I do like to have numbers and data because as a librarian, we really like factual information. But it's also really important to understand what salary means on the human level. So before I give you figures, I thought I would share an experience. Most days I work 2 or 3 jobs. I run STEM camps and tech camps in the summers and breaks. I teach numerous enrichment classes, tutor, and clean homes most days of the week when I am not at my full-time job. Just a couple years ago, I was picking up a cleaning gig after school and showed up with my cleaning gear to a home in Ithaca. And when I rang the doorbell, I was greeted by none other than one of my own students. You see, that student's last name did not match their mother's last name, who had reached out for house cleaning services, and I, not knowing the connection, had taken the job. I was left with a very awkward situation and difficult decision to make, losing my professional reputation with that student or choosing which bill I was not going to be able to pay. Let's be honest, you don't look at your teacher the same way if they clean your bathroom after school. So I chose to keep my professional reputation. Luckily, the whole thing kind of went over the kid's head. And the mom was really nice and honestly was just kind of mortified as I was with the situation. What she was really concerned with was why I needed to be cleaning houses if I already had a teaching job. But we can get out of the territory of personal experience and honestly just go straight for facts and figures. I'm an educator who's been here for 10 years. I took my salary and structured increases over the last 6 years with the last contract, and I compared them with the rate of inflation each year. And the total raise I've gotten in comparison with inflation with those structured raises over the last 6 years has a grand total of 0.36% each year when compared with inflation. Not 3 not 6.36. And that is a grand total of 2.16% total raise over 6 years when compared with inflation. I'm really working harder than ever, and I'm just staying afloat. I now find myself being one of the more senior teachers in my school with only 10 years, as I've watched a revolving door of teachers walk out the door to go to BOCES or Groton, Dryden or Lansing, Owego, Syracuse, even Florida, because they are paying their teachers not just to start there, but significantly more to stay there. One of the homes that I clean for is for a teacher in a neighboring school district, and her years of service are very similar to mine, but our incomes are so vastly different that she can afford to pay me to clean her house, and I can't afford not to do it. You need to know that we're not asking for a significant change in salary structure and salary because we are greedy. We are desperate to stay in the communities and schools and with the students and colleagues that we love. Living in this community was my dream in 2017, and when I searched for a home, I was able to buy one in Tompkins County in 2017, but only because they had the assistance of 3 first-time home buyer income-based grants. While working with INHS to buy my home, an INHS worker asked me if I would say something to the administration and ICSD because they were alarmed by how many teachers in ICSD qualified for the maximum assistance and home ownership grants because our salaries were so close to the poverty line in Tompkins County at a salary that was so far below the median and so close to poverty in Ithaca that I qualified for the maximum of assistance. At a board meeting last year, I heard Dr. Bradwell say to a student representative that the biggest indicator of student success in a school is a connection to a trusted adult. And I asked how we can strive towards that connection for students if we can't promise that that beloved teacher they formed a connection with will be there next year because they simply can't afford to stay because staying will be at the cost of feeding their family. At the end of the day, I would just really love the time and stability to be able to do more and be better, be a part of our school community. But currently, I and many have no choice but to rush from one job to the other. And after we get home late at night, we just don't have as much to give.
I teach advanced writing courses at Ithaca High School. Despite a master's degree, AP certification, and other professional qualifications, and despite a decade of service in the district, I still do not make a living wage in Tompkins County. I'm here tonight to speak to you about teacher salaries. I'm here because I stood in line this year at a local food pantry when I couldn't stretch my grocery budget far enough. I am here because I cannot heat my home or pay for childcare in Tompkins County without public assistance. I am here because it is unethical for the Ithaca City School District to pay its teachers salaries that are insufficient, that do not rise in step with the local cost of living, and that do not honor and respect their years of experience, professional growth, and commitment. Let's begin with the premise that teachers deserve a living wage. Living wage calculators consider the regional cost of basic needs, including food, clothing, housing, transportation, and childcare. According to MIT's calculator, a family of 4 living in Ithaca, New York, with 2 working adults and 2 children, can achieve adequate living standards if each parent earns $66,500 annually. I do not make $66,000, and I am not alone. 59% of teachers employed in this district are presently paid wages that are insufficient. That is to say, those wages fall short of the living wage needed to sustain a working family. The cost of goods and services nationwide has increased by roughly 23% since our last contract negotiation. The district has proposed a 4% wage increase. Why should we accept 4%? Will you try to tell us that the living wage calculations are wrong, that families should be able to get by with less? In fact, the calculations are conservative and do not account for student loan repayments or major life events. ICSD cannot ethically justify denying its teachers a living wage. In addition to a blanket raise, Ithaca should adopt a step-and-lane salary system that rewards experienced teachers for extensive training and professional development. I've worked at IHS for 10 years, but there are teachers with 1 or 2 years teaching experience who make more money than I do. Again, I'm not alone. 74% of veteran teachers presently employed by the district have been leapfrogged. To combat a national teacher shortage and to attract new teachers, ICSD did raise starting salaries, but established teachers' wages have not increased concurrently. Thus, the current salary system neither reflects nor respects teachers' years of classroom experience, professional growth, and mentorship. Insufficient and stagnant salaries are fueling high turnover rates. Failing to retain veteran teachers has undeniably negative effects on student learning outcomes, and district can and should do more to retain its educators. Ithaca's teachers deserve better pay, but more so, we need better pay. Healthcare, housing, and food are needs. Childcare is a need. Considering Maslow's hierarchy, these needs are among the most basic and the most essential. Teachers cannot be creative, cannot unlock their potential, cannot experience purpose and find meaning in their work if they're living paycheck to paycheck, laser focused on survival. The Board of Education is responsible for determining the district's vision and mission. You set an example for our young people and our community. I'm asking you today to set the right example, to uphold the right of all persons to live with dignity. Please negotiate with the Ithaca Teachers Union in good faith and agree to a wage raise for teachers that accounts for local living standards, that accounts for inflation, and that accounts for their professional experience and their years of commitment to the school district. Thank you.
I'm here tonight with my colleagues from the Ithaca Teachers Association to address a crisis that is steadily impacting every classroom in our district, the erosion of teacher retention. There are 7 of us. Each of us will introduce ourselves as we speak, and together, we hope to provide a clear picture of what's happening and how we can fix it. Over the past 2 years, we've worked to understand the scope of this problem, gather data, and propose solutions. Tonight, we're asking the board to authorize your bargaining team to go beyond the current 4.59% annual raise limit and allow a higher overall raise of 7.5% per year. The data supports this ask. More importantly, our students need it. Thank you.
Caroline, teacher, I'd like to continue our remarks. 21-year teacher in the ICSD, member of the ITA, and a parent of 2 children in the district. Let's start with the facts. 43% of the ICSD teachers are currently untenured, nearly half the workforce. 18% of ICSD teachers left last year, higher than the New York State average, 14%, and the national average of 12%. We've raised these concerns with the ICSD administration since spring of 2023. We're not seeing normal turnover. We're witnessing an exodus. ICSD lost over 100 teachers last year. That turnover cost the district an estimated $1.57 million, more than the difference between your 4.5% proposal and our 7.5% ask. And our veterans are leaving fastest. In 2015, 83% of our teachers were tenured. In 2025, that number is just 57%. Our students now experience a revolving door of instructors. Speaking personally, I'm a teacher at Caroline. My understanding is that we have the largest percentage of teachers with tenure and years of teaching experience in the elementary schools in the district. And we're not a school in need of improvement. I don't think that's a coincidence. I love Caroline. I like to think that I am an important part of its success, but I'm not absolutely loyal to it as a teacher. If I can make $10,000 more in another district, I don't think I'm the exception. All teachers, like anyone else, have to look after our bottom line. My wife is a teacher in a nearby district. She has 3 years less experience than me and already makes $10,000 more. She has a step and lane system. Soon that number is going to be $20,000 more. As we've seen at Cuyahoga Heights, it is a house of cards. If enough teachers leave, the rest are going to follow. The results speak for themselves when teachers leave. The bottom line, you build a foundation in higher performing schools by paying for good teachers, incentivizing them to stay.
I'd like to continue the remarks from the ITA. These wage losses aren't accidental. They're the result of structural flaws in our salary system or absence of a system. Without a step and lane, we are subject to leapfrogging, which is when a less experienced teacher makes more than a more experienced one. It affects 428 teachers in our district, 3/4 of our workforce. It's my understanding that with my 19 years of experience and 67 graduate credits, there are at least 15 of my colleagues who make more than I do with the same or less. And salary compression when two teachers with the same experience in education earn different salaries. And that affects nearly 185 teachers at ICSD, or about 1/3 of our staff. These inequities erode our morale, our trust, and our retention. And our proposal is designed to fix them.
I'm a teacher here at Ithaca High School. I just joined this district 2 years ago, and I have already been leapfrogged. I have 10 years of teaching experience under me, though. I'd like to continue our remarks. We're not here just to name a problem. We're here to offer a solution. We propose a step-and-lane salary system that is competitive with neighboring districts, attractive to new and returning teachers, predictable so educators can plan for the future, and incentivizing with long-term rewards for staying in ICSD. We call this CAPI salary model. Of the 34 school districts within an hour of Ithaca, 25 already use this structure. The 7.5% raises we're asking for over 4 years are how we build it. During this phase-in, teachers will be placed on the grid based on years of experience and graduate credits. That means some members will receive larger wages than others, larger raises than others. This isn't arbitrary, it's a correction. It reflects the work required to fix compression and leapfrogging. We've prepared explanatory slides if needed. After this brief transitional period, the system becomes highly predictable. Teachers will know what they'll earn next year and 10 years from now. That predictability is one of the most powerful retention tools a district can offer. Thank you.
I'm here to continue the remarks from ITA. And I think what I would like to start with, though, is that you see the ITA is bringing not only a problem to you as educators, but also a solution. And I'm just going to start with a little personal story. So this is my 11th year in the district. When I came here, I was pretty much a brand new teacher, and I took a $40,000 pay cut. On the advice of a new teacher, they said to me, don't go for the money, even though you need it, go for the credits and build up your salary. I've maxed out my credits. I'm at 90. I'm still making less than I did when I was a brand new teacher in a different district.
Despite educators within the district sharing their personal experiences and the ITA presenting clear data supporting their stance, the ICSD has provided teachers with 3 proposals. The first was for a 4% salary increase. The third, also for a 4% salary increase. If you are a member of the Ithaca community and support our teachers, now is the time to let the district know your thoughts and be paying attention to these negotiations. If you go to the Ithaca Teachers Association's Instagram page, you can find the Zoom link that will allow you to watch these negotiations live.